Hello everyone, and welcome to another Company Heroes 2 replay cast. My name is ATR, and today we're gonna have ourselves a 1v1 on Langreskaya. Our heroes today are going to be Abdul, playing as the Soviets. Even though, interestingly enough, he appears in red in the chat. And his opponent today is going to be none other than StephennJF from the mTw clan, playing as the Germans in the red. So both players are pretty damn good. I mean, Steven, you probably should know about him, and at the time of casting this, his rank for both factions, well, I'll go for both factions. His rank in the German faction that we're seeing right now is 65, and his Soviet play is ranked 70. For Abdul, he is not a scrub himself. He actually is ranked 117th for the Soviet, so not top 100 just yet. But his German play is actually 78, so he does break the top 100 there, so pretty good. Pretty good. Should be an interesting match. Now, we do see both players there chatting a little bit at the very start of the game, so that's nice to see. A little banter and such. But let's take a look at what both players have been doing. So, for Abdul, we have no tech, like you would normally expect. He is getting himself conscripts, but you do see a little bit of debris here, right? Well, that is because he was actually starting to build tier 1, if you saw at the very beginning of the game, but he decided against it and cancelled, and just went for conscripts. For Steven, for his side, well, you know, tier 1 like you would normally expect, and getting himself grenadiers. He actually has 2 grenadiers out right now, with an MG42 followed up as the next unit from tier 1. So, nothing happening so far just yet. Units just capping. We do see on the left-hand side, conscripts are being used to capture for Abdul, and they will eventually run into the Pios, but we also have a Grand Squad on this side of the map that will probably move into engage, although, no, they are actually moving towards the center. So the conscripts on the left-hand side will engage the Pios, while the combat engineers on the right-hand side engage a Grand Squad. So, yeah, I mean, both players still talking about there. So they're talking about strategies there, and Abdul is actually talking about that he was building his tier 1 and decided to cancel it because he thought, well, it looks like it's the first time he plays against Steven, and he didn't want to cheese him the first time. So let's see what happens. So anyways, conscripts and Pios over here on the left-hand side, duking it out. The Pios are taking quite a beating, but MG42 does come into the mix and opens up on the conscripts up there on the fuel point. Forces them away, does kill one of them, but they managed to just run away. Right-hand side, combat engineers trying to go for the decap, but they decide against it. Moving down south, we have conscript squads against one Grand squad. They're going to take quite a beating there out in the open, as the Grens are in light cover in that little hole in the ground. But they are surrounded by 2 conscript squads, so they will lose. And Steven retreats before even losing any of those men. So, nice decision there for him. Combat engineers getting themselves a flamethrower. 4 conscript squads on the field for Abdul, 3 Grants, and an MG42 for Steven. So far, the game is, you know, pretty good, pretty standard. Nothing really amazing happening just yet. We'll see what happens here. Center map, MG42 setting up to cover the Grand squad as it pushes forward. Conscripts do vault over the fence, getting themselves into some light cover and go for the victory point. Grand Squad closes the distance and is going to engage the conscripts out in the open. The conscripts will lose this engagement by themselves. We have conscript squads up north engaging the Grands that went for the decap by Steven. Nice move there. The whole right-hand side is now decapped for Abdul. But the Grand Squad up north will end up losing. Molotovs get research for Abdul. Molotovs fly. One Molotov flies down south to the Grand Squad, forcing it to pack up and move out of the way. MG42 comes into the mix, into the hole there in the trench, but decides to retreat as well, as another Molotov was tossed up in the north to push away the Grand Squad that had the decap. So Abdul will be reconnecting his territories. Conscripts shift positioning a little bit to be able to engage. Oh no, they actually move out of the arc of the cap zone, so that means the position will not be captured very quickly. Center point is getting captured by those conscripts, so that will eventually connect the right-hand side resources for Abdul. And down south, we have the conscripts going for the decap of the left-hand side resources for Steven, as Grens and his base just set themselves up in heavy cover to engage the intruders. MG42 also brought into the mix, got some nice damage there on the conscripts, forces them away, but there are 3 men, and they do manage to cap the point completely, delaying the resource income for Steven, quite a bit. Sniper coming onto the field for Steven. Interesting choice. Very nice to see snipers. I love the snipers. And we'll see how effective it is. Unfortunately, it is not the person that I have selected, so I cannot keep an eye on him as far as hotkeys go. Combat engineers trying to capture that munitions. They end up getting shot up. Sniper takes a shot as they retreat, misses, and the combat engineer squad makes it out of there alive. Conscripts over on the left-hand side, going to go to decap that fuel. A little bit behind them, the other conscript squad is capturing that strategic point, and the whole right-hand side is completely open. Abdul's shouting, "Sniper! That's it!" And Steven wondering what he meant, because, well, I guess there was a missing N, or he doesn't know what he means by "that's it." So, with Sniper coming out, I'm assuming Abdul was saying "that's it" in the sense that, well, then I'm going to go ahead and build tier 1 and counter your Sniper. He does go for a scout car. And I think Abdul meant to say it's war now. But he said it was dirt now. Left-hand side. Conscripts engaging the Grens. Nice Molotov. Catches some Grens there on fire. Second conscript squad moves in to close the distance and engage the two-man Gren squad. Gren squad is forced to retreat, and the conscripts will continue to capture the point. Sniper is brought into the mix, moving over to the left-hand side. Conscripts Ura forward and get themselves behind the hedge, blocking the line of sight of the sniper. Gren squad moves in to continue the engagement. The conscripts will be able to engage them out in the open, or although the Grens are in light cover. Conscripts move out of the way, and they are trying to catch that sniper. The sniper is now backpedaling. Shots fly at the sniper. He gets hit, forces a retreat, and there goes the sniper. I think Abdul was actually trying to catch that sniper out of position and kill it off. Nice little tactic there, but it didn't pan out. Still, nothing really bad happened from that. Combat engineers on that scout car now with the flamethrower moving across the field. They are going over to the right-hand side as a Pioneer squad is being used to capture on the right-hand side. Pioneer squad is easy pickings there for that scout car. The scout car is going in its direction, but the Pios instantly retreat for Steven. I think he had him queued up that they capture and instantly retreat. Nice queued up order, I would assume, because, well, scout car was barreling down in their direction and could have very easily killed the entire squad. Right outside the base, we do see the massing up of forces here for Steven. Pushes out with the sniper, gets a nice line of sight, but he actually runs the sniper a little bit too close to the conscripts, manages to cloak itself in the cover, shots fired, down goes one of the conscripts on the retreat, and we have mines getting laid down on the cross sections, or intersections, I should say, for Abdul. Conscripts retreating from the left-hand side, combat engineer being brought into the mix to capture that fuel point. Right-hand side, scout car being used to capture points, conscripts also capturing as well. And, well, Steven is building tier 2. No doctrine selection for either player just yet, so can't really say much else about that. So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens here. Scout car pushing forward, conscripts moving in to support, gonna decap that point, or, yeah, they will. Scout car moves in, gets right on top of that MG42. Flamethrower goes off. Grenadiers trying to close the distance, trying to get on top of that scout car, get that Faust off, but it does not manage to go through. Drives away, shoots a little bit behind with its 30 cal gun on the rear, and makes it out of there just fine. Left-hand side, sniper supporting some Grents as they go to cap the fuel point. Combat engineer squad barely makes it out alive. Look at that. I mean, sliver of health, 2 man left. If any of them fart, they probably die. Back at base, we do have medics and, well, Molotovs already. But medics for Abdul, so he'll be able to get his squads healed up and back to full strength, as well as medics for Steven. And he brings out a pack gun to see if he can potentially snipe that scout car if it goes for a drive-by. Left-hand side, scout car being brought in, fighting against the Grents. Sniper taking a shot at the scout car. Conscripts trying to close the distance. Oh, the conscripts are right on top of the sniper. Rifle nade does go off on the scout car, but it only does a little bit of splash damage, stays alive. Sniper pulls back. Gren's in the way, supporting him. Getting some nice shots off on those conscripts. The conscripts continue to push forward. Sniper backs off. Shoot and scoot. Gets another shot off on the conscripts. The conscripts pop into the house. The sniper crosses the open and gets himself into cloak. And gets behind the outhouse there. That is an outhouse, right? Yeah, it's an outhouse. Sniper shots flying to the house. The conscripts are now down to 1 man in that house. That squad is a goner. I don't think it will be able to make it out alive. It decides to pop out and retreat through the Grens. The Grens are a little bit engaged, fighting the conscripts that currently popped into this house, and it looks like that conscript squad will actually be able to make it out alive. However, at the same time, the conscript squad, the Gren over here, not the sniper over here, ended up dying as conscript squads just flooded all over the difference. And Steven says, "I'm asleep." And Abdul says, "I figured, because I guess, yeah," he says, "usually you play much better." Panzer Grenadiers coming onto the field for Steven. Gonna take up the banner of the sniper and try to slaughter as much infantry as possible. A bundle nade could be fantastic. Here, Gren Squad just pops into the middle of all the conscripts, gets shot down, and Panzer Grenadiers continue to push forward. Complete rout of the troops over on the left-hand side for Abdul, as he just moves out of the way with everything. Combat Engineers up north. That pack shot squad wiped me, said Steven. Was it the pack? Wow, yeah, it actually killed 2 of the Grens, and the other 2 just died to the small arms fire. That's kind of unfortunate. Didn't even hit any enemy so far. Yeah. Sometimes the RNG, right? But, oh well. So, Steven, rebuilding his Grand Squad, not wanting to sacrifice the unit count, I suppose. Abdul decides to go for tier 3 and build himself a a T-34. Just has to be careful with the pack gun. I skipped ahead a little bit in my phrase there, but that's fine. And the pack gun is being pushed forward, probably going to be used to actually capture the point. Just setting up, covering the approach. Yep, there you go. While the Grens just push forward to recapture territory. Panzer Grenadiers on the left-hand side is being used to capture by themselves. Scout car is over on the left-hand side. They can actually get a nice pickup there on the Panzer Grenadiers. But the Panzer Grenadiers are now going into the center. We see Abdul laying down more mines in those intersections. And none of the mines, I think, have actually been triggered just yet. I don't think there's been too many mines, but... well, there you go. Conscripts who roll forward, get themselves right on top of the Grens, throw a Molotov, denying them that heavy cover. The Grens decide to move to a next heavy cover, but they are on the wrong side of it against that conscript squad and end up getting shot up. Forced to retreat. Pack gun is forced to back off, loses 1 of its men, still at 3 men. Panzer Grenadiers moving up to stop the onslaught of conscripts. The conscripts do end up retreating at 2 men, but 2 more squads move into the fray to take up their positions. Get right on top of the Panzer Grenadiers, but a Molotov will probably be tossed here. No, they actually just stay there on the open, just getting slaughtered there by the Panzer Grenadiers. Oh, a nasty rifle nade goes off on the conscript squad, eliminates the entire squad. You can see the dead men right there. Look at that. They're crawling to their... well, they're already dead, but, they're crawling, trying to stay alive. As minefields just laid across here, the T-34 moves in and just detonates all of them, getting rid of the minefield very quickly. Not even taking any damage itself, as they are anti-personnel mines. And the MG42 gets stolen here by Abdul as conscripts push forward. And Steven is just in, well, terrible shape right now. He's not doing very well. Does have a lot of infantry still, so, he's not out of it or anything. But it is not panning out very well in his direction right now. Combat Engineers laying down more mines. The T-34 exposing his rear armor towards the enemy. Not the brightest, but... damn it, sorry. Stupid brainy tuction. I just woke up, so sorry about that. Anyways, yeah, the T-34 turns around, however, so now it faces the front armor to its enemy. And the scout car over here on the left-hand side captures the fuel. So, yeah, Abdul is just doing incredible here. Capturing pretty much the entire map, even stealing the MG42, killing the sniper, wiping some Grens, and getting himself yet another T-34 to add to his mix. T-34 moves up, getting some shots off on the Grens. The pack gun decides to back off, sets itself up to shoot at the T-34. T-34 gets nailed in the frontal armor and decides to back off. No second shot. Well, actually, yeah, second shot flies from the pack gun, but it misses the T-34, and the T-34 will get repaired. MG42 set up right outside the base, forces the Panzer Grenadiers to back off. Panzer Grenadiers do have Shreks now to fight those T-34s. And the pack gun pushes forward as the T-34 backs off and gets itself out of that mine. And the combat engineers will repair it. Second T-34 brought in through the right-hand side. Gonna get a nice flank there on that pack gun. However, the pack gun is supported by Gren, so it can easily get Fausted and will die to the pack gun. Pack gun shoots. T-34 takes a shot through the front armor and tanks it. Second shot goes off. T-34 at about half health. A third shot will be going off, and the T-34 is now down to about 30% strength. The pack gun continues to chase it down, and out of control goes the T-34. Scout car moves in behind the pack gun, but gets Fausted and destroyed. And the other T-34 just gets on the arc of fire there of the pack gun and is going to try to clear it out. Pack gun does get cleared out. Shreks do fly from the Panzer Grenadiers, however, so this T-34 will be going down. Shot hits. Second, oh, the second Shrek misses, and the T-34 stays alive. Very lucky there for Abdul. A little bit reckless there with that assault, but he did end up a little bit ahead with that. Combat Engineer is going to go for the victory point as they cannot hope to steal that pack gun. And the Shreks fly from the T-34 trying to hit, from the Panzer Grenadiers trying to hit the T-34, but they were more directed towards the Panzer Grenadiers. Half-track now on the field for Abdul. He's going to get that anti-air package. Very nice. And we'll see what happens. We see Doctrine selection for Abdul, and that is the shock rifle frontline tactics. He could call himself a KV-8 right now if he, he can't. He needs the fuel. But, a KV-8 right now would just simply close the game out. What was that? Oh. Incendiary round right on top of the pack gun. Abdul not wanting Steven to recover that weapon. Fortunately for Steven, though, he was ignoring it, and the Garens just pushed forward. Molotov did get tossed right in front of the house, and a Garen catches fire, while the other one spreads out and goes for the munitions point. Conscripts push forward. They get right on top of the fire. She's burning alive. Not the brightest of conscripts, but, well, that's why they're conscripts. Molotov does fly at the Garens. Garens take the Molotov to the face, sit in the fire for a couple seconds, decide to run through it a little bit more, and then move themselves out of the cover. Pack gun still on the field. We do have an MG42 on the field for Steven, while the other MG42 is opening up on it, but it is in heavy cover. Conscripts do decap that point and capture it completely, in fact. But they now get suppressed by the MG42 as Grens move in to engage them and are going to be able to inflict quite a bit of damage. Panzer Grenadiers move in to engage. Half-track on the field over on the right-hand side took damage. Not exactly sure what it took damage to. And we see yet another incendiary round on top of the point here. Forces the infantry to back away and, again, does not allow any capping. The MG42 decides to put itself in the fire and just burned alive. One of them catches fire, two of them catches fire, one, and there it goes. So the entire squad just wipes as it decided to set itself up in the fire. KV-8 gets called into the field, and I think that's game. I don't see how Steven can actually survive this. The KV-8 can, well, it does have a pack gun to deal with, but the KV-8 can just simply tank the pack gun and go straight at it and burn it alive. And the Panzer Grenadiers will do a lot of damage to it with their Shreks, but eventually they will burn as well, so does not look good here for Steven. KV-8 barreling down, coming over to the right-hand side, going to go in for a strafing run into the base, it looks like. We have conscripts right outside the base going to decap that strategic point, or actually capture it completely. There they go. All the troops are right there, and the KV-8 moves into the base. Flamethrower goes off on the bunker, and he decides to focus on Tier 2. Well, he is going to burn it alive very quickly. Pack gun is brought back into the base, and the KV-8 backs off, crushes the hedges there in front of the base, and decides to back off. Not exactly sure what he's trying to do. We see Steven going for his own doctrine, and that is the German Mechanized doctrine, and calls himself a command tank from that. Ooh, that is an excellent choice. Command tank, surprisingly enough, can actually deal a lot of damage to the KV-8 because, well, the KV-8 can't really do too much damage to it with its main gun. I mean, it will do damage to it, but KV-8 is in trouble with that. KV-8 does switch on to its main gun and will start shooting at the command tank, although, no, it moves out of the way. Panzer Grenadiers nearby with their Shreks will also be able to support. And yeah, I think Abdul may have missed a golden opportunity right there. T-34 gets brought in front of the KV-8. Shreks fly off from the Panzer Grenadiers, and we see a lot of infantry just pushing forward. MG42 is just pushing in front, and conscripts moving in for a nice flank there through the hole in the hedge. MG42, however, for Steven was set up to stop the conscripts and manages to get the suppression off on both of them. T-34 just sits right there. Flamethrower goes off on the KV-8, just burning the Gren squads alive. The Gren squad trying to retreat. Can he make it out? It looks like he will make it out. Panzer Grenadiers, command tank, and pack guns just pushing forward. The KVA taking massive amounts of damage. The T-34 moves in to engage the command tank. The command tank is also taking a lot of damage itself, but it stays alive, and the T-34 backs off as well after taking some damage. Incendiary barrage right on top of something. Right on top of where the MG42 was. The MG42 did get out of there and is getting healed up and reinforced. And the command tank is just patrolling now, moving over to the left-hand side. We do see a flamethrower dropped in the world for somebody. It looks like it was Steven. No, Abdul, as he does not have his combat engineers with flamethrowers anymore. And on the left-hand side, Molotov flies as the Grand Squad gets hit by that Molotov, forced to retreat, and there they go. Command tank getting brought in to engage, and we see calling out of the field more combat engineers. Combat engineers for Abdul, we're going to be used to repair those tanks. And the Panzer IV is just shooting across the hedge, trying to see if it can actually hit the conscripts. The conscripts do hide themselves on the other side of the hedge, a very apparently favored tactic here for Abdul, as he has done this quite a bit. Ooh, Grenadiers actually pick up that flamethrower. Flamethrower burst goes off on the conscripts and they instantly retreat as they notice, oh shit, they actually have a flamethrower. Command tank getting repaired. Back at base, we still have no additional tech for Steven, so I mean, it's going to be tough, but well, maybe he can do it with just the command tank. I don't know. More conscript squads getting produced for Abdul as he recovers. Smoke barrage goes off into the map here by Steven. Conscripts push forward, run straight into the arc of fire of that MG42. The T-34, the half-track, and the KV-8 are pushing forward, although they actually now get stuck there. Half-track moves out of the way. T-34 takes a Faust to the face, and the KV-8 just pushes forward, hitting all the retreating troops with its flamethrower. The pack gun is currently nowhere to be seen. Where is it? It's pack gun. Pack gun is over here. Yeah. KV-8 decided not to pursue the infantry. T-34 getting repaired, now back to full strength. And we see a half-track moving up and getting sandwiched in between the pack gun and the command tank. The command tank doing a lot of damage to the half-track. Will be able to take it down, but it is getting stuck now against the T-34, so the half-track does not get out of there alive. Pack gun moves in and gets a shot off on the rear armor of the T-34 and manages to not kill it. Command tank is getting assaulted here by the KV-8. KV-8 getting hit by the second pack gun. The second pack gun will now essentially stop the KV-8 cold and not allow it to, well, do too much damage. KV-8 still throwing with its flamethrower at the command tank, and the command tank runs into the T-34. T-34 backs up, and we now have a second T-34 on the field for Abdul. He did lose his half-track, however, so his infantry will not be able to reinforce on the fly. And the command tank pushes forward as the pack gun also moves in front of it and going to get some nice shots off on those T-34s. The T-34s move in and then back off as Shreks and pack gun gets brought into the mix. A second pack on the right-hand side will also get some nice flank shots there on those T-34s. T-34s now down to about half strength and are forced to back off. Incendiary barrage right on top of the pack gun does a lot of damage. The Panzer Grenadier squad actually gets eliminated here by the T-34, it looked like. Yeah, 7 infantry kills to that one. And the command tank pushes forward on top of the stolen MG42, but with no AT guns to support, it's kind of hard for Abdul to stop him. The tanks have to back off to the pack guns, and he has no AT guns himself, so it is the perils of going tier 1, tier 3. Still, if he can call himself an IS-2 later on, well, he'll be fine, but it is allowing Steven to push back into the game. One of the pack guns did get decrewed, but it's still out there on the field, very healthy. In fact, we also have the MG42 decrewed, but again, still on the field, can get reinforced, or, well, recovered and reinforced. The Pios are going to get right on top of that command tank and reinforce. No. Ooh, Teller mines. No Teller mines. Teller mine getting laid down right under the command tank, as all the tanks are getting repaired here for Abdul. MG42, or well, stolen MG42 and conscripts pushing back on it onto the field. Left-hand side, we have conscript squads decapturing territory as well. Command tank turning around and going towards the conscripts in the center. Not center, in their victory, I mean munitions. Wow, I'm all over the place. And Pioneers going for the victory point. Victory points are down to 172 for Stephen, while Abdul is sitting comfortably at 472. So with a 300-point lead, he has a lot of time. A nice shot flies there from the command tank. Detonates the mine under the feet of the conscripts and does a lot of damage. Getting them down to 2 men forces a retreat, but, well, they make it out alive. Right-hand side, KV-8. Trying to see if it could catch an infantry squad out of position, but it does not see anything and decides to just back off. And the pack gun is just sitting there in the center as the other pack gun gets reinforced and, well, recovered. Grenadier squad recovers the MG42. MG42 is moving around. Going to stay at 3 men. Not going to retreat and reinforce as the Grand Squad retreats to reinforce. Command tank just moving around. Huh. Interesting. Is that a glitch? You can see here that this sector appears to be, you know, protected by the command tank, having the defensive buff, but it doesn't actually really. The command tank is not there, but the sector itself still looks like that, so that's weird. Oh well. T-34 moves up, gets some shots on the command tank. The pack gun is nearby, however, so it will shoot at the T-34, doing quite a bit of damage. T-34 actually almost gets killed. Not really. I'm exaggerating there a little bit, but that's what you do. KV-8 moving in again for another strafing run, it looks like. It's going to get itself behind that pack gun and decrew it. Very nice. Pack gun getting burned alive. The command tank getting some shots off on the KV-8, but not managing to do too much. KV-8 moves up, going to get in range of those Grens. The Grens are going to Faust it on the rear armor. Going to get a crit on the engine. No! It actually just gets hit for damage. And one of the pack guns goes down. T-34 takes massive amounts of damage as it hits the Teller mine. Engine is heavily damaged, and the command tank barely makes it out of there alive. Incendiary round lands right next to the pack gun as the pack gun moved out of the way. And the T-34 is just trying to move out of the way as the conscripts move through the fire, pop back into the fire, and there they go. Do have a mortar on the field for Stephen, which is an interesting choice at this late in the game, but it has been doing quite a bit of work and is currently trying to dislodge that MG42. KV-8 being the priority here for Stephen, for Abdul, decides to get the repairs as it is heavily damaged. Second T-34 still on the field, but severely damaged with its heavy engine as the other gun gets brought in and stays alive. The KV-8 does get brought back up to about half strength, and the combat engineers will try to repair it very quickly. Let's see if they can actually do that. Grens and MG42 pushing into the center. They're going to run into one of the T-34s. The other AT gun, or pack gun, I mean, is where is it actually? There it is, over on the right-hand side. KV-8 moves in, gonna get Fausted once again by those Grens. The Faust does go off and gets damage on the engine. The KV-8 now getting shot at by the pack gun, however it does throw flamethrower bursts at the retreating Grens, and we now see an actual Panzer IV brought into the mix. Panzer IV will get rid of that KV-8 very easily. There it goes, out of control and explodes. T-34, oh, IS-2 on the field for Abdul. That IS-2 will be doing a lot of damage. T-34, I mean the Panzer IV gonna take a massive hit there, but the pack gun is the primary target there for the IS-2. Decides to shoot at the pack gun and remove it from the game. And the Panzer IV just backs off. IS-2 moves in, get also another shot off on that second pack gun. So that Stephen has to produce more pack guns to replace him. She can't just simply reinforce him. Shot hits the weapon is getting damaged. The IS-2 is sitting there very comfortably, as the other T-34 did manage to get fully repaired. Second T-34 backs up to get more repairs off on it, and the IS-2 pushes forward. The T-34 moves in to relieve the IS-2, as the IS-2 will be able to... Oh my god, Panzer IV is pushing forward. T-34 taking quite a bit of damage. Pack gun now on the field. The IS-2 eliminates the pack gun itself and manages to... Well, actually, what inflicted that? I think that was an 18-8, yeah. Conscript squad ended up retreating but getting killed, but an 18-8 does go off on the Panzer IV. The Panzer IV is forced to back off. Right-hand side, Ren squad also getting pretty battered there by the IS-2, but the IS-2 backs off. So another pack gun is brought into the field for Steven. Steven able to hold on strong there, but he is, well, he's suffering there quite a bit. Command tank getting some repairs off on it. T-34 moves in to shoot at it. IS-2 also being brought into the mix. The T-34 back there is getting repaired. Oh, nasty direct hit there on that command tank. The command tank is down to about half health. Pack gun getting some shots off on the IS-2, but it misses. There we go. Nice shot, lands it straight in the frontal armor. The IS-2 moves out of the way and exposes its rear armor to the enemy. Unable to shoot at the command tank, but it makes it out of there alive. We'll need some repairs, and we'll need to turn its armor towards the front. It's not the brightest of choices to keep it looking backwards. And the T-34's still not fully repaired. The combat engineer is just not catching a break here as these tanks just keep getting battered over and over again. Command tank moved over to the left-hand side to engage infantry. The conscripts are going straight for the fuel point. And back at base, we have the MG-42 just chilling. Just chilling. Conscript squad also being moved in to the left-hand side to capture. Pack gun pushes up and gets some shots off on the T-34. The T-34 backs off as it does not want to get shot by a pack. And we see a Stug getting produced here for Steven. That is an excellent choice. The Stug is way better against tanks, essentially. You'll actually know it got changed to be a multi-purpose weapon, right? Because it's a lot better against infantry now as well. I don't know compared to the Panzer IV if it's better. I'm pretty sure it still has the better range, though, instead of a Panzer IV, but I'm not sure if it does more damage than a Panzer IV now after the last changes. Guess we'll have to keep an eye on that. But anyways, Stug gets brought into the mix for Steven. Conscript squad on the left-hand side pushing forward as the T-34 and IS-2 move in front of everything and just get shot up by all sides. Getting eliminated. Down goes the T-34. The IS-2 will be going down as well as there is a pack gun just waiting for it. IS-2 shoots but just hits the debris in front of it. Does not manage to hit the command tank. Pack gun moves up but gets assaulted by one of the T-34s. The T-34 now getting shot at by the Stug. Stug takes a nasty shot there on the front armor from the T-34. T-34 getting shot in the rear armor by the pack gun. Decides to stop in the arc of fire of the pack gun. Gets shot once again. One more shot will probably finish it off. No sliver of health left. Can the T-34 make it out? It makes it out. The Panzer IV is going to blitzkrieg to chase it down, and it will catch up to it, and the T-34 will be gone. Yeah, T-34 decides to actually stop in the middle of the battlefield. The Panzer IV eliminates it, gets shot back in return, bringing the Panzer IV down to very low amounts of health, but the T-34 does go down. So IS-2, only thing left on the field there as far as tanks goes for Abdul. Abdul deciding to retreat his IS-2 as it is severely damaged, and the combat engineers push forward, get an incendiary round off on the pack gun, and the pack gun is not even going to move out of the way. Incendiary round hits it, and now it decides to move, but it gets burned alive and it gets decrewed. MG42 in the center goes for the victory point, down to 92 points left for Steven. Abdul trying to bleed him out, trying to close the game out like this, but he has suffered a lot of losses at this point. He is down to very low amounts of infantry, only one conscript squad. He does call in a shock troop squad to try to even the odds here, going straight towards that mortar. The mortar will retreat and make it out. Shot flies from the Panzer IV and actually nails the shock troop squad, but the shock troop squad does manage to decrew the MG42 and forces away the squad, so it stays alive. Command tank trying to catch the retreating squad, actually able to keep up with it very easily. The IS-2 does get turned around now, only now, which it should have been turned around quite a while ago. But it's going to keep Abdul in the game. However, we can now see that Steven is using this opportunity to recover pretty much the entire map. And there you go. So once again, the map seems to be showing me that a lot of sectors are getting buffed there by the command tank, but I don't think that's accurate. As you can see, that none of the troops are actually getting any buff, and only the command tank has the buff itself. Command tank pushes forward, right in front of the base. The IS-2 still getting repaired there by Abdul. Needs a little bit of seconds there to get the engine back to full working order. There it goes, back to full working order, and can now actually push forward and push back those assaulting tanks. But with not a lot of troops on the field, well, Abdul is in a lot of trouble. Does have a conscript squad capturing over on the right-hand side. Shock troops moving in to support. The conscripts may be able to get an 18-8 off on the command tank. They do manage to get the 18-8 off, but it bounces off the side skirts. And the conscripts just get annihilated here, down to 2 men, down to 1. Won't make it out alive. Shock troops getting in the way. may be able to distract the assaulting tanks. Grenadier squad barely makes it out of there alive at 2 men from the shots of the IS-2. And the command tank is trying to capture that conscript squad, but the conscript squad does make it out of there alive. Shock troops pushing forward, more incendiary barrages right on top of the pack guns. Actually nails that pack gun and eliminates it. Very nice shot there. Second pack gun backs off as the shock troops are forced to retreat through the flames of their artillery, but they make it out of there alive just fine. MG42 also trying to stop the approaching troops. Grens did manage to get a Faust off again on that IS-2, forcing it to have to get repaired once again. The IS-2 is just out of range of that Panzer IV, and the MG42 is forced to back off. So Stephen is just dominating now with the pack guns. He is able to push very easily, and the tanks are able to support. IS-2 takes a shot at the command tank, but misses. The command tank does have Veteran 2 and armored skirts, which make it harder to hit, apparently. Shot hits it straight on from the IS-2. The command tank takes about 25% damage there, and the IS-2 just backs off all the way into the base as all the infantry for Abdul is back at his base. He does have one squad out there. It's a shock troop squad trying to capture on the left-hand side, but the map is now pretty much for the taking of Stephen. And, well, Stephen just capturing the map. Setting up his troops, moving back his pack guns. A little bit too clumped up there. They could actually get hit by an incendiary round at the same time, although they'll easily get out of the arc of fire. So he decides to back off the second one for a more defensive position. IS-2 over on the left-hand side runs into those Grens. The Grens instantly retreat, as it is an IS-2. And the IS-2 does not even manage to get a shot off on them, so they stay alive. Combat engineers, conscripts just moving around. Shock troops on the left. And the command tank moves over to the left-hand side to engage the shock troops. Center map, shock troops as well, just pushing forward. Combat engineers being used. MG42s and conscripts retreating. MG42 coming out of the field, I should say. And yeah. Abdul not really having much of luck here. He does end up having to retreat this shock troop squad, as it cannot actually do anything against the Panzer IV command tank, and the command tank kills 3 of them. And the IS-2 moves in that direction to support the troops, which is essentially what Abdul needs to do at this point, because he cannot really push forward, at least not with just one IS-2. Maybe if he calls in another one, I mean, he does have the fuel for it and is getting the manpower, so maybe with 2 he could actually make a forward push, and if he targets, say, the pack guns, could potentially get some nice hits in there if RNG doesn't screw him over and, you know, decrew them. But with only 1 on the field, he does need to focus on the flanks where the pack guns are not, forces them to actually pack up and move out of the way and reposition, so that they actually get to a point where he can maybe catch them out of position and decrew them and even take them for himself or destroy them. But yeah, I mean, just on a head-on assault, one IS-2 will just die immediately. He also have Teller mines laid down across the field all over the place for Stephen. So Stephen is in a very comfortable position here. Even though he does have 83 points and needs to bleed pretty much 400 points. Stug gets brought into the field as well. That will help out immensely against that IS-2. The IS-2 did take some damage here as it got Fausted, it looks like. It does have engine damage, so it's having to slowly crawl out of the way. Pack gun moves over in its direction, and it is in range, but it's not able to really hit it as it does not have line of sight. And the second IS-2 gets brought into the field, so with those 2 IS-2s, Abdul may be able to turn this around. Again, he does have a lot of time, so he shouldn't really be too desperate to try to do it in just one fell swoop. He does spread out his IS-2s. IS-2 gets a nice shot there on the command tank. The command tank blitzkrieks to try to get out of the way. It is very slow on the blitzkrieg there, but manages to dodge that shot as the IS-2 just whiffs it. And the shock troops are capturing the right-hand side. Left-hand side, conscripts get 18-8 off on that Panzer IV. The Panzer IV is... oh, the engine actually gets destroyed on that Panzer IV. That Panzer IV could very easily get picked off there by that IS-2. All the IS-2 needs to do is move up around here and shoot at the ground and potentially hit the Panzer IV. The Panzer IV is actually turning itself around, so it's just... excuse me. It's just sitting there. Let's see if Abdul actually catches a lucky break there and manages to get a kill on a Panzer IV. Right-hand side, IS-2 moving in for a flank there as shock troops moving across the field. Pack gun turns itself around and gets a shot off on the IS-2. The IS-2 bouncing the shots one after another, so getting very lucky there. IS-2s get brought in and are focusing down on the pack gun. The pack gun gets naded, but it stays alive. Very low amounts of health, but stays alive. The IS-2 backs off from the center as it does not manage to get any kills. And the shock troops are just trying to clear out that pack gun, but does not manage to actually do it. Conscript squad down to one man. Shock troop squad down to one man, forced to retreat. T-34, not T-34, Stugs, pack guns, Panzer IVs, everything's just unloading on that IS-2. The IS-2 takes some heavy engine damage there. Actually, just some standard engine damage, and almost dies as it hits the Teller mine, but it stays alive. Panzer IV pushing forward. The IS-2 once again in front of it. That Panzer IV now back to full strength, as it did manage to get repaired from the heavy engine damage that it suffered. Or the destroyed engine, I should say. And a wheel gets tossed at the enemy. Secret weapons of the World War II there, but yeah. Stug, Panzer IV, Panzer IV command tank pushing forward. They run straight into that IS-2 that is heavily damaged. Gonna get some nice shots off in there. The Panzer IV will be able to finish it off. No, keeps bouncing the shots. Combat engineers get eliminated there as they were trying to repair out on the field. IS-2 getting some nice shots off there on the command tank. The command tank goes down, loses the Veteran C3 command tank, and the Panzer IV is also severely damaged. The IS-2 still on the field with a sliver of health. I just have a question, says Abdul. Stug pushes forward and getting some more shots off on the lead IS-2, as the IS-2 on the right hand side will get eliminated there. How did the second IS-2 get engine damage? Down goes the IS-2, and there you go. Teller. Yeah, he's talking about that one. Yeah, it actually ran through the Teller mine right there. That's why it was damaged. It also took a massive amounts of damage. It was almost dead. So the IS-2 on the right-hand side goes down. The pack gun, though, does get decrewed in front of the base and recaptured by Abdul. So this actually is quite a lot of help, as he does not have the ability to get pack guns or, well, AT guns himself, at least not without back-teching. And yeah, he should be repairing the pack gun so that it doesn't get destroyed now that it's in his possession. But yeah, that's nice. Far left-hand side, Shock Troop Squad does go for the decap of that fuel point. Back at base, we see, well, not back at base, but, well, we see that Stephen is building himself another Stug. So those Stugs will be able to provide quite a lot of support. We also have a pack gun still on the field. Somewhere. There it is. Moving back out. And this bunker is just sitting there. It's not even upgraded to an MG bunker. And the shock troops over on the left-hand side ended up dying right there to a rifle nade, as they were down to 3 health. 3 men and very low in health. IS-2 still getting some repairs off on it. Another combat engineer squad wouldn't be too horrible. Pack gun getting reinforced all the way up to 6 men, so that's very nice for the pack gun, as it is very sturdy now. And conscripts moving out. So Stephen still in control here of the game at this point, but Abdul managing to catch a little bit of a break there at the end. Panzer IV does get repaired completely. Don't know where it is. There it is. Now with Veteran C2 and those armored skirts, Stugs move up. Getting shot at and 18-ated there. That Stug takes a lot of damage. It does have Veteran C1, however. But the IS-2 is not back to full working order. The pack gun did manage to do a lot of damage to the IS-2. Pack gun for Steven does move up to get some defensive measures there for the IS-2. And the Panzer IV moves up in range of the pack gun. Over on the right-hand side, the IS-2 getting some nice damage there on that Grand Squad. Can he finish it off? Yes, he does. The coaxial gun finishes it off before the main shot actually fired. Pack gun getting shot back in return by the stolen pack gun. As I was saying, this one could actually do with some repairs so that he doesn't actually lose it. And another pack gun is getting produced for Stephen. Victory point on the right-hand side does get captured by Abdul, stopping the bleed at, well, reducing the bleed to 1 point per tick. 318 points left for Abdul, 83 points left for Stephen. Stephen has not bled for quite a while, but he did get brought down to less than 100 very handily. Left-hand side, Shock Troop Squad goes for the fuel and retreats as the Panzer IV moves in their direction. And the Stugs just sit around in the center, covering MG42 bunker, right, covering the victory point in the center, while another MG42 bunker covers the victory point on the left-hand side. So that makes it very easy for Stephen to defend other sections of the map with his troops, as those bunkers will not allow Abdul to just simply sneak a cap. Mortar and Pile Squad getting surprised there by the IS-2, forced to retreat, but they all make it out of there alive just as well. Right-hand side, Combat Engineers capturing the fuel. And with both fuels connected, Abdul could actually call himself another IS-2 very, very quickly. He is almost at about the required fuel, so we'll probably see another IS-2 come into the frame. Conscripts moving down south to this point. They are getting engaged by Stugs. The Stugs, once again, remember, they have been improved as far as their anti-infantry capabilities. They're not designed against, you know, anti-infantry, as, for example, a flak panzer will just rip infantry to shreds, but, you know, they're not useless against it, so they're pretty good. Pack gun in the center, getting some shots off at the approaching infantry. Combat Engineers and conscripts just sitting in the center, as these conscripts are going to lay down mines. No, they just clump up together. Pack gun gets a nice rear armor shot there on that Panzer IV. The Panzer IV is forced to back off. Right hand side, IS-2 going to get assaulted by a pack gun and Stugs. Stug takes a nasty shot there on the frontal armor. Conscripts could actually throw an 18-8, but they don't, because an incendiary barrage was actually used instead on the pack gun, so that it is forced to pack up. It does not die, however, so the IS-2 is still in a lot of trouble here. Does manage to get some more shots off on the Stug. The Stug in the center loses its main gun, and the pack eliminates it afterwards. The IS-2 does take quite a beating in the frontal armor, as the Stug over here does get a better C2 and its armored skirts. But one of the Stugs did go down. Stug pushes forward. The IS-2 is in range. He gets a shot off on the side armor. There it goes. Forces it to back off. Stug shoots back, and the IS-2 may retaliate. Yes, it does, but it... Well, actually, it looks like it missed, but it did take a lot of damage, so I guess it was close enough to hit. IS-2 backs off as well. Pack gun also supporting. Right-hand side, we see the Panzer IV coming in for a flank. No, it decides to back off as it has nothing there to support it. And the pack gun is a little bit further back. That is an interesting choice. A scout car is getting produced for Stephen. You don't see scout cars getting produced this late in the game, so I wonder what he wants it for. Okay, well, he decides to cancel it and then go for a Panzer IV, so maybe he selected the wrong building. I don't know. That was weird. Well, anyways, let's see here. Sorry. Right-hand side, the IS-2 manages to push forward and get behind the arc of fire of that pack gun, decrewing it, getting also some nice shots off on the Panzer IV. However, with a second pack gun there for support, the IS-2 is still forced to back off. The Stug also taking some damage. It's now at about 30% strength. IS-2 still getting damage, still being forced to back off. And we see a second IS-2 getting called into the field for Abdul. So let's see if he can close it out with this one. With two IS-2s, he's actually in a good position now to maybe be able to take the game. One pack gun isn't really going to do too much damage to the IS-2s. The Stug is currently getting repaired. The Panzer IV is very damaged. His own IS-2 is also damaged as well, but he is pushing with the other IS-2. The IS-2 moves up. Will it destroy the pack gun or, well, be used for something else? The pack gun backs off and has a nice arc of fire here. The IS-2 now going to get shot at by the Panzer IV, the Stug, and the pack gun at the same time. Stays right in front of the arc of fire of the pack gun. IS-2 shoots back at the, I don't know what it shot at, but it gets stunned there in front of the pack gun. Taking some more damage. Shots fly at the pack gun, but the pack gun is just not getting eliminated. The IS-2 is forced to... Oh! Gets eliminated with that last shot. Massive amounts of damage as it moved out of the edge. and the IS-2 is lost, so that means that Abdul, I think, is done for. I mean, yeah, I mean, he still has a lot of fuel to go to be able to call in another one, and that just didn't pan out. He needed to either push with both at the same time, but he went a little bit piecemeal, going one in and one in the other, or just have waited until both were at full strength and then pushed, you know. Left-hand side, Panzer IV just guarding the area, as the MG42 and Pack-Gun just defending the front. Conscripts, shock troops, combat engineers, all back at base, having to reinforce and heal up. Combat engineers once again brought into the field to repair the IS-2. The IS-2 is veteran C3, so I mean it is quite powerful. 31 infantry kills to its name, 3 vehicles destroyed. At veteran C2, it gets better control over the main gun, improving the targeting and weapon range, so it turns the turret faster and more range, and then it fires with more frequency and moves faster at veteran C3. So it is a very dangerous tank there, but well, we can now see that Stephen has amassed a army of armor and the pack gun. So that is 2 Panzer IVs, a Panzer IV command tank, and a Stug. 1 IS-2, even at veteran C3, will not be able to stop the onslaught of that. You can see the massive amounts of damage just flying in its direction. Karoo shot goes off on the IS-2. The IS-2 still stunned, unable to do anything. Panzer IV just get right on top of it. The IS-2 still trying to keep its frontal armor to it. It is focusing down the command tank, which is not exactly the best one it should be focusing on, as it does the least amount of damage to the hull of an IS-2. But it does manage to at least get the kill on it. Panzer IV does manage to get the flank on the IS-2, destroys its main gun, and the IS-2 just speeds out of the way and tries to make it out of there. Does actually stay alive and makes it all the way back to base, but with the pack gun a little bit far behind and out of position, the Panzer IVs are simply able to just push into the base and destroy the IS-2. They may be getting 18-aided by the conscripts, but again, without tier 2, well, Abdul was never able to actually produce an AT gun himself, which may have been the mistake. Maybe this is what cost him the game at this point. Maybe he should have at some point just back-teched, got himself just tier 2, and build his own AT guns once he wasn't able to push. Abdul drops a GG, as all his troops are just getting slaughtered back at base by the Panzer IVs. GG, well played by Steven, and that is game. So yeah, a very good game, and I mean, personally, I think one of the key mistakes, even though, you know, I can easily say it from my point of view, was when the KV-8 came out that it didn't go too aggressive. You can easily lose a game that way if you just send it into the base and have your KV-8 killed, so it's understandable why he didn't, but we could see that Steven was not in a position where he was going to be able to do too much to the KV-8, and he would have just slaughtered all his troops early on in the game. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the game. If you have any positive or negative remarks, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. If you have any replays you want to send me, go ahead and send them to the email that I will put in the description. But otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.